I might be having an angry reaction and flipping them off, but I'm doing it very mindfully. Okay, so in my last video, I talked about creating a meditation habit by making it more fun. And in this video, I want to talk more about the very noticeable benefits I have seen since I have been doing meditation regularly. So if that interests you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and stay tuned. Through having a regular meditation practice, and mind you, it's not like I'm some sort of a monk here. I've only been doing it regularly for about 20 minutes a day, I'd say, for the past 2 weeks. Before that, I was an infrequent and inconsistent meditator, and I would do it for shorter bursts of time. So this is only since I've stepped it up to like 15-20 minutes a day, and I've been managing to do it pretty much daily. Since a part of that meditation practice, right, in building the habit of it, is just gently bringing your focus back and bringing your thoughts back to the present and bringing them back to the present. I compare it kind of to the way you would train a dog. Over time, I've exercised that muscle. And part of that practice is also doing it and learning to do it in a non-judgmental way and accept that that is simply part of the process. And so now in my daily work, when I notice my mind wandering, I notice more of a tendency for me to be able to notice it sooner and bring myself back. But also there's none of that accompanying story. There's none of that accompanying judgment that there's something wrong with me, that I should already be able to do it. There's just an acceptance. It's really... Now we have the backup noise. I might be having an angry reaction and flipping them off, but I'm doing it very mindfully. I'm laughing at the irony of doing a video about the benefits of meditation. And, here I am being tested right now because this is like the third or fourth garbage truck that's come by. It just seems to have parked itself under my window and has like the backup noise going on. But even that, I'm even acknowledging now, it's like, even though I'm annoyed about it, it's like my annoyance, the fact that I can even laugh at that is a difference. It's a change. I compare it to the difference between when I was really having a lot of stress and anger issues and I wasn't actively doing things about it. And I would describe the difference in my reaction as, I remember I couldn't get the garbage bag out of the garbage can smoothly and it ripped. And I had such a rageful overreaction, temper tantrum, meltdown that I threw the garbage bag like across the kitchen and threw garbage around my kitchen. And I think it was at that moment that I was like, you know what, lady? You need to get your ass on some drugs, stat. So I went on meds at the time, and shortly thereafter, shortly by like a few months, I remember dropping like a box of cereal and dropping it in a way where like the majority of the box poured all over the floor. I compare those two reactions as drop this entire box of cereal all over the floor, and I just looked at it, I was like, yeah, like you can still have the reaction of like, well, that's fucking annoying. But I was able to laugh and be like, and go get the dustpan and clean it up, instead of then having a reaction that made it even worse, right? And so even like with this happening, I feel like, if this was several weeks ago, I would be sweating under these lights and I would be so angry and I would have such a stick up my ass and so much tension about trying to get something done and then feeling as if these external outside forces were like tormenting me or toying with me. And that reaction would just make everything worse and I would sweat and things would go wrong and it would just get harder and harder to do the task at hand. And, right now I'm like acknowledging, and yes, I'm flipping off the truck, but I don't feel this like monster inside me ready to just like throw my camera out the window. which then makes it harder to continue. And look, right, as I'm even just talking through that, acknowledging the garbage truck's existence and being mindful of having an angry reaction, but also that it doesn't have control of me, that I have control of it. Look, it's gone, right? The garbage truck drove away. And, I could have just sat here grinding my teeth and getting angrier and angrier and getting worked up. And, and I didn't. Little pat on the back there. But I can absolutely, knowing myself, point to this newfound meditation habit as really deeply affecting me and allowing me to have this kind of a reaction as opposed to an absolute meltdown temper tantrum. And I mentioned earlier when I was telling the story about, wrestling, basically having a wrestling match with a garbage bag versus, having a reaction to dropping a whole box of Cheerios or whatever on the floor. So that was the difference between, having all of these issues and then going on meds. And just to be clear, I am no longer on meds, and I will put a card to that video here about how I weaned off of Lexapro. So I haven't been on any meds of any kind. I've been seeking out other ways of dealing with my stress, with my anxiety, with my anger issues, and just doing a lot of other work. There's also more of an acceptance in my day-to-day productivity. And what I mean by that is last week I designated Wednesday as a day that I would spend working on my voiceover marketing, which I did, and I felt like I accomplished a lot. And yesterday was Wednesday, same thing. I decided to designate it my voiceover marketing day. And I wasn't productive in the same way. Being in this state of mind where I'm stepping back and I have some perspective and I'm not reacting so much and I'm not getting carried away by my thoughts and getting carried away by false narratives, I was able to notice that even though my productivity didn't look the way I had expected it to, I was still making a lot of progress in other ways. So my goal was to continue building a list of potential clients to reach out to. And I think I had gotten that list up to like 30 clients. And I think in my mind, I was like, I'm going to finish that list. I'm going to get it to 100 clients because that's my goal. I'm going to get it to 100 clients and then I'm going to do reach out. And yesterday, I found myself really, really having a difficult time just sticking to the task of adding to the list. But I did notice that, there were a few times that I stumbled upon something and I actually did reach out to somebody that didn't fall under the umbrella of this specific type of client I was reaching out to, but nevertheless I thought might be a good lead. And I had a very short back and forth, but he responded immediately. So I would consider that a really good accomplishment, that I not only found somebody, reached out to them, and got a very favorable response. He was like, you have a great voice. I'm definitely going to bookmark your email. Whether that's true or not, whether anything comes of it, it was still a very positive response. So overall, my ability to work and be productive and recognize what I'm doing, I'd compare it to having an encouraging, supportive boss who guides you but doesn't micromanage you, and who also lifts you up and kind of celebrates your little accomplishments. Like, who doesn't want a boss like that? And yet, in my more panicked mind, when I'm stressed out and really being overtaken by my negative thoughts and by my heightened emotions, which many of us are at this point in time, man, those thoughts would sort of manifest into a boss personality that was critical and mean and demanding and mercurial. Yeah, I just threw a 50-cent word in there. And, just completely gaslighting and not helpful at all and really, really beating me up so that I would feel exhausted at the end of a day and I wouldn't feel like I got much done. Whereas now, I am recognizing how much progress I've made, and even the simple release of not putting pressure on myself, not judging myself. All of a sudden, in the last hour of doing my marketing, I suddenly was able to really fill out my list and suddenly do that part of the task after I had sort of accepted that maybe I wouldn't get as much done with that particular part of the list building. And then I got it done. A similar thing happened today. I kind of had this awareness that in about an hour, I think I have to teach a 3-hour class. It's more like 3.5 hours or 4 hours with my note taking and follow up. And quite frankly, it's a lot. It's a lot of mental energy. And I've sort of learned that I don't accomplish a lot of other things on the days when I have to teach this class. It's a voiceover class for beginners. So I got up today and I was like, oh, I should film, right? There's that word, should. And I kind of recognized, I was like, well, I'm going to be editing the content I already filmed tomorrow and getting that up. And I'm really becoming aware that I need to do YouTube more in little chunks and try to separate out the filming and the editing and not try to do it all in one day, which just helps me be more sane. And I kind of said, well, if I don't get to it today, that's fine. I'm still making a lot of progress this week and I am going to edit tomorrow and that will be my priority. And if I have time to film tomorrow, great. And if I don't, I will still be ahead if I film content on Saturday. So I can do that. And even just giving myself that choice and that option that I didn't have to film today, you know, I got up and I made my bed and I suddenly was like, no, I'm in a headspace where I want to film today, you know, and it's a want as opposed to a should. But this is just something I've been noticing lately since I've been meditating regularly. Sort of what my channel is tending to focus on is sort of self-improvement and mental wellness and finding things for myself that work and sharing it with you. So I believe that is all I wanted to mention today. But if you like this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And I would love to hear from you about noticeable changes that you've had in your life after sticking to a meditation habit, if any. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye.